Hi, I'm going to show you my classroom layout. I'm going to start with the partner practice and then we'll move on to the whole group one. I will set it up. There we go. Okay, I have chosen a second grade math lesson. I have made all of my tables different colors and then each of them are differently grouped kids. So I have, just to start off, number 3. He is the class clown of the group, so I put him at the very back so he's not a distraction to everyone else. I also put him by the door in case I need any extra assistance, but I also put the door at the back of the classroom so that the attention is not shifted from the front of the classroom where the projector screen or the board would be. I also put my teacher desk up here. The computers will be over here, reading center, table. So first, for my math lesson, I am going to do a talk, walk, decide. So for this one, I'm going to have the students that are all in the same position group up with each other. So I'm going to have these 2 table groups, and these 2 are going to pair up. Each of these will be going through the classroom and finding their own thing to measure. They will already have a ruler in their little table things that'll be at the very center of their table group, but I will also supply them with meter sticks and a yardstick so that they can do that. All the students that have dots on their seats are the ones that usually take control or are bossy. So I kept that in mind while I was doing that. They are all spread out so that they wouldn't get partnered up together, and they also wouldn't be at the same table group. So starting off, I would have 1 and 3. They would meet up. These students would go all over the classroom. They could find the projector screen. They would have to find how much that is and what they would actually like to measure with, whether it's a ruler or whether it is a yardstick or whatever. So those 2 will go there, while these students over here, maybe 28 and 30, want to go to the library to find books that they can measure, because those would be measured with their ruler. So they would go there and so forth. These 2, the classroom is pretty spread out. They could even measure like any decorations that are on the walls over here. And while they're doing that, I'm going to be walking around. This is the black one, is going to be me. I will never be at my desk, but I will be walking around, just kind of roaming throughout, they can measure the computers inside, but they can also do this and measure the actual cow. So I'm just going to be roaming around trying to offer different objects for them to measure, while also allowing them to have their own instruction, but I'm also there. The students will complete that when they I will use this group in particular. When these 2 students get to the cow or the computer on wheels, they will make a estimate on what their computer is and why they measured with a ruler or a meter stick or a yardstick. So then they will write that on a response sheet that they will keep logs, and then they will go from there to the reading carpet or the class library. Here they will measure a book, or they can measure the bookshelves that are right here, or any pillows or stuffed animals that are in there, while also logging it on that. While these 2 students are working through that, the rest of them are also walking around the classroom. These students may have moved on from here and they have gone over to the cabinet where they can measure right here. Still, while they're doing that, I'm walking around. Maybe they need help with the height and they need help understanding what is that they are measuring, or what units are, because we should already know what that is. The students that maybe are more bossy, they should be with a partner that is not at that same level. They're like an uncategorized student. But I will make sure that all those students are working together and working properly with one another. Students all over the classroom will be working, so like these ones would be over here, maybe measuring the door, and these two students would go here, and then they would just move however they want. I think I would let this be more of a free-for-all, where they get to choose. They don't have to go from one thing to the next. They can choose if this group of kids wants to go over here and measure the chairs that are on this little side desk, they can. Because theoretically, the students should have all different kinds of understandings. These two students here and here, they might find a maybe like a pencil at a little center over here that would be different from someone that was measuring the cabinet. Materials that I've already listed are like a ruler, a meter stick. I'm not going to use any time set up because they're just going to be working throughout the class just to find stuff that we already have in the classroom so that they can make it more of a personal touch. But for those differentiation students too, that's why I also paired them differently with students that have all different grade level ranges. To walk, they're walking around, they're having some movement, but they're also talking with one another. They're deciding what they want to do, why they're doing that. They're taking part in some discussions and mathematical discussions to better understand their learning. And I'm not playing a role in their learning. I'm simply just roaming around, helping them, or maybe pointing out an idea that they can measure their own desk, because then they would always know that too. Moving on to the whole class activity, I have this one set up. Kind of the same thing. The class door is at the very back. The projector screen is at the front. Number 3 is, again, the class clown, but I have my table set up. There's 5 groups of 6. And for this one, I'm going to, they're going to do a gallery walk. So I would have students they're going to be working in their table groups for this one. And each table group will get a different math problem that they are going to have to solve. And then, not math problem, a math strategy that they can solve. And before I would need to plan, I would put charts up here with different equations, and students will go around the classroom with sticky notes trying to solve their strategy for each equation, talking with one another and collaborating what they think. This way they will have sticky notes and they can just put down if this one is an equation that they can use and why or why not. Whenever they decide what they think is the correct answer, each one of them will take a turn going to that. So it might be these two are going different charts around the room while the other ones start on the next exercise. But that way one student from each table group is up and moving. Throughout this, I'm also walking around, maybe helping them point out where they're going, but I'm just roaming. The students should theoretically be moving slowly throughout the classroom. They don't really have a rush. As soon as they write down what they have found with their sticky note, then they will go back to their spot. So students are not supposed to be up and walking around a ton. They just go from one spot to the next with their table. Each of them will also have a different math strategy. Like I said, there will be math problems around the board or around the classroom with big poster boards that I will supply on my own time, or just big sheets of paper that I will write down, and then they will have the sticky notes given to the table group to go work with prior to the assignment. Throughout this whole thing too, I will be collecting the charts that are placed around the classroom at the end of the activity, so I will be collecting that data that the students have. Another way that I could collect and assess for each group's understanding is each group would have their own color sticky note, so I would get an idea of which tables are understanding what. And the students that are more bossy, like number 15, they might take more charge and want to take the opportunities to go, whereas other students that maybe are more quiet, like there should be one in each of the groups that would be a good time for them to actually work on the activity where they can see each of them. I will also be walking around trying to figure out which students are getting it and which students I need to assess more. I can also prompt by allowing the students to get up as a whole group and go to another table to see what this group is doing. But at one at a time, that would be one table group getting up to walk over here. Same with the blue table. The blue table is a little bit further back in the classroom, but they might be struggling more if they are having a time with a bossier student, with a class clown. I can also take some of their attention over here, but the majority of the time the students should be sitting down and working independent or as a group with their own understanding, with their own piece of paper for scratch paper. Materials would just include sticky notes, the chart paper, markers, and rulers for anything that they are solving with measurements. And yeah.